Hold up. This is going live. You're live.
Hello everyone and welcome back to a very special live edition of the Neverland Book Club. Joined with my bestie from the north and soon-to-be debut author, Chelsey Thomas. Yeah, okay.
1 second. Here we go.
Yay! Oh my god.
Aloha!
In the virtual
We're doing it. It worked today. Yay!
Yes, it finally worked. It was not good 2 days ago. A minute, like 30 seconds before we were supposed to go live, internet just went nope.
It's like right down to the wire. It's like, nope.
Yep, they just went nope. So we have to postpone until today, but I'd rather be postponed than canceled altogether. So, welcome. Hello. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Alright, today we are discussing our
Wait,
buttery...
are you not gonna introduce me?
Oh!
Oh, no. Forgotten about Paul.
My husband is here, Pablo. He's also
Hello,
here.
I am also here.
He's also here.
I might pop in every now and then, and I'll also be monitoring chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll let these two know what's going on. And back to you guys. Also, I'll most likely always be looking down, but I am aware of what's happening.
This is my producer.
He's the master controller of everything.
Yes, he's my producer. Sometimes he helps me write things. He's great. I'm discussing Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. It was...
Our books are the same.
Yes, our books are identical. I love it. This was the first book by Haruki Murakami I've ever read, but you've read other. This was Chelsey's suggestion, and I want to say thank you very much for suggesting this one specifically, because it was like the most healing bowl of chicken ever tried.
Oh my god. It totally is. Murakami's like, I'm going to soothe your soul. Just sit down and read my book.
Yeah, it was very soothing. It was like taking just a warm bubble bath the entire time. Even in grief, it was also in just, it was the kind of grief that feels good because it's the aftermath of grief. It's like, I have grieved and I'm ready to go on.
It's very healing. It's like, yes, I've cried, but now I'm ready to live again. And this book will help me do that.
Okay, I have many notes.
I have a little comment before we start.
Okay.
Did you guys publish this? Did you guys announce it on your socials?
I announced it on my Instagram, and I think 20 people saw it.
Okay. If you want to make like a new story right now, you're like, we're live now.
Oh, I got a notification that we're live right now.
I was going to say, I have one. I was going to say, do we want to make like, have a picture and be like, we're live?
We can.
Come see us.
Yeah, do a little behind the scenes type thing now.
We are live over on YouTube, youtube.com/Neverland Book Club. Look at that. I'm here with Chelsey, my bestie from the north. Oh my god. There she is. Coming out. Ah. Okay, I need to tag you.
Yes, and then I will repost. Awesome. I love that. I was going to say, there should be one person watching, because it should be my family, because if they're not watching...
There's 4 people watching.
4!
Oh, yeah, we have 4!
Hi, 4!
That's awesome.
Okay. Would you like to start with some of your notes?
Why don't we start with one of yours?
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
yes, let's do this.
This was actually just a sentence that I messaged you. And I copy pasted it in here. And I said, the thread that held all of his relationships, only in depth did he become close to every single one of his relationships. Naoko through Haruki, Rei goes through Naoko, Midori through her father's death, and even Naoko through her own sister. And Hatsumi doesn't understand Nagatawa even more, which is why he never spoke to him again. What he said about grieving and coming back in the book. But I also found that death played its own character in the book, but it wasn't scary. It wasn't a sense of like looming over him or anything like that, because he himself, as a character, felt fearful of death. They was always fearful of losing someone else that he loved, which is what made every relationship that he had even more special than the last.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking in a very deep way.
Oh, yeah. Well, like we talked about the undertone of death being a big part of the book, in that everything that Toro was going through was linked together with death and his almost coming to grips with the idea, being introduced to it at a young age. And I think there was a lot of cultural influence from Murakami, because there definitely wasn't a Western view of death. It was very much an Eastern view of death. It was very much like, this is part of life. A lot of quotes about death I loved. Which one was, death exists not as the opposite, but a part of life. I don't think that's not a Western view.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Very much continuation rather than an ending, which is very interesting to know. And also the elements of suicide. Suicide was how everyone left. It wasn't that, like, people died from natural causes or from anything other than the it's romanticized of, I think, this stuff. Like Hollywood, you know, when
Mm-hmm.
really shouldn't be.
No. Absolutely.
You know, in which it
Yeah, they go back to like what's comfortable. They're like, nope, this is too much. I can't take this anymore. Over here.
get bored with not.
They're like, nope, this is too much. I can't take this anymore. Over here. This is too much. I can't take this anymore. Yeah, over here. Yeah, over here. No, it's okay. There's this one and this one.
But there
I
was
work
one,
the same way. I'm like, oh, but I want to talk about this.
yeah. Well, there was one part in the book where I was a student for a very long time, because I just studied for a very long time. So when he said he would go to class but not say here when they did roll call, I was like, what are you doing?
Why are you not saying here?
Because you're not getting the credit for the day, even though you're there, and you're like putting your that's the point where he had come to, of just not caring, which I thought I could relate to it in a big way, but yeah, it was incredibly relatable to someone who is over that age and has the hindsight of being maybe over 25. I say 25 as like probably over 30, but
well, like
yeah.
kind of typical university age, right?
Yeah, like I don't know if someone that is 19 to 20 would get. They would still absolutely love it, but I don't know if they would get the same nostalgic angst as someone who's a bit older would.
Yeah, like you have to go through that experience to look back on it with that nostalgia.
Right.
So if you are 19, 20 and you've been through that experience, and then you're like, oh, that's right, I remember university, and you're super smart.
Yeah. It made me
like Nadia.
kind of, yeah. It made me miss school just a little bit. University, just a little bit.
Me of like, yeah, I'm sitting in university right now. This is way too real.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, yeah. I mean, I never had a dorm. I never had that kind of experience. Middle Eastern background, and that is forbidden. You study from home, and that's it.
No, I'm glad I've been able to stay at home.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how I do living in a dorm.
Yeah. No. Looking back, I'm not complaining. I don't think I would have done well in a dorm. Just specifically from from TV shows, from what I hear from people that have been in dorms. Like, I am such a very introverted person and value my own alone time and value things like my own books and stuff that I would never be able to share such a closed space with a stranger. Essentially, that'd be like your first day of school, you meet your roommate, and it's like, oh, like, I have to live.
Hello, we have to sleep in this. Oh,
see,
no.
That's another thing. Sleeping in the same room with a stranger? Are you insane?
No, thank you.
No.
You stay over there, and I'll stay over here.
Yes. Mm-mm. No. I think my very...
Unless your roommate's a stormtrooper from Norwegian Wood.
Right?
I loved him.
I really, really missed him when he just wasn't in the book anymore. He was in the beginning, and then
he was
he
gone,
left.
and then I was like, wait, come back.
Yeah. He was fantastic. He embodied kind of the stereotypes that perhaps Westerners would associate with just a little bit more. But in a very lighthearted way. It was not in any way that was offensive. It was kind of in a very, very lighthearted, comical relief type thing. But also the fact that he doesn't know what happened to him is another element of sadness. I
know, and then he's just gone. And it's just like, where did you go, buddy? Like, I was rooting for you. I loved every time Toro talked about him, I was like, yes, Stormtrooper, I want you. If I need to go to a dorm, you're my roommate.
I want a whole book written from his perspective. I want to know where he went and what he did with his life. I want to know everything about him. He was fantastic. Especially since, like, he would get up so early and do his little exercises with the radio. Like, that is not something
adorable.
That is absolutely not something that you see over here. That is a very Eastern or Asian thing, and it was so charming. He was very charming.
Yes.
And he
and then when he was gone, I was like, but his charm, his essence filled the book, even though he wasn't mentioned very much.
Yeah.
You could still.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was such an integral part of what Toro was going through.
Yes. Every time Toro would clean, he would think of him. Like.
Yeah.
It's really the people that you find throughout your life, especially in your early years, that help shape who you're going to be as an adult. You don't even know how much of an impact they have on you. And, I think I said this to you before. I don't know if I wrote this down. Yes, okay. Reading this as a 27...
to break in. There, Debbie, come on.
Was that a kitty? Was that a kitty?
Debbie, come here. To get up and get her. She's shy. Oh, there you are. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Everyone wants to see you. Everyone wants to see you. Oh, yes.
I'm excited about it. Oh, my goodness. Look how majestic this kitty is. Oh, my God.
She's a fluff.
What happened?
Guess who's watching?
Who's watching?
Some guy named Debo.
Oh, my God. Ethan is here?
Apparently.
Hi, Ethan. I'm gonna cry. Ethan was literally the only person that was at our wedding. Like, other than our family, other than our direct family, we could invite like one person, and we invited Ethan, and he's here. Hi, Ethan. I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that is so meaningful.
Oh, I don't know. We haven't seen him in a long time. He lives up in Washington. I won't give his exact address on the internet, but.
I have to show you. Come here, stir fry. Come here. Oh, yes.
Oh, that is another kitty. Is that another kitty? That's a separate kitty.
This one's Stir Fry.
His name is Stir Fry. Oh my
her
God.
name is Stir Fry, yes.
Oh, her name.
My husband named
her. That's adorable. She looks like the perfect, color that you want a Stir Fry to be.
Yeah, she's a tortoiseshell, so she's perfect. Hey, go sit up there again.
That's adorable.
You're still mad at me. I made you uncomfortable.
Oh, I miss you too, Ethan. Oh. You have no idea. You have no idea. You need to come back over here and maybe do one of these with me. But for another time. Okay, so going back to the
do a live.
Yes, we could do a live. Oh, he's fantastic. Talk about a stormtrooper, Ethan. What?
Is he your stormtrooper?
Well, yeah. Talk about a stormtrooper, Ethan.
Just his taste.
Yes. That's why I did it on purpose. Ethan is a Star Wars diehard, like Disney diehard, Star Wars diehard. He has a channel on YouTube. He hasn't posted in a little while, but it's all about Disney things, like actual the history of Disneyland.
Everyone's gonna go there.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Kingdom Raiders.
I don't know if
he hasn't posted there in a little while because he moved away. But the few videos he has on there, I thought the one he did a little while ago. What was it on? What's that ride you go on and you're like in a jungle safari? I don't know. But he did like the history of that ride and it was fantastic. And he also has a very nice voice. So Ethan, I missed you too. Anyway, okay. Reading this as a 27-year-old, it really makes me realize how much I've grown from the time I was 19 turning 20. Relationships with others is how we truly learn more about ourselves, and the way we treat others is a testament to how we see value in ourselves as well as that person. Toru didn't see how much he hurt his first high school girlfriend until the very end of the book, until he decided he had matured. That was also interesting. He made the decision, I am now mature. He decided he had matured and was ready to face his own faults. He didn't realize then that he was being cruel to her and felt guilty when he finally did come to that realization. I take a lot of notes.
No, I love that part because it was when we realized that, you know how people say, oh, you grow up before you realize it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's 100% true for everybody, because if you watch your life, and not under a microscope or anything, you're not analyzing it, but if you watch it really closely, you can see yourself. You can almost take yourself out and view yourself from up here and be like, I've changed from this to this.
Yeah.
And it's back and you're like, now I'm not this way anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you can see Toru doing that, with full knowledge of who he was and who he is now.
Yeah.
There was no break.
Right. It was, yes, absolutely. Everything you just said. Perfect.
Nadia's like, no notes. It's perfect.
No notes.
No notes.
Do you have any more notes? Because I have a lot, but I don't want to talk the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
One of the first ones I saw when it came to this book, and I was like, this whole sentence just made me go, yes. And it was, I have to write things down to feel. I have to write things down to feel I fully. And for someone who journals a lot, like I do, I felt that sentence in my soul. Because a lot of times, I have to write things down in order for it to really penetrate through my entire being, to write things down. Then I'm like, okay, now I completely can understand this, and then I can move on from it.
Right. I completely agree
with
that.
That one really was,
yeah.
That was a huge line for me. I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
I spoke a little bit about it in a previous video about how much people might not understand how much journaling can have such a positive effect on understanding your own feelings. And I think a lot of people kind of shy away from that, especially here, because it's like, I don't need to talk about my feelings. I don't need to unpack that can of worms. But you kind of do, because then you just fester unknowingly, and then you become, that's where I think bitterness comes from. That's where heartache comes from. That's where all the negative energy, feelings come from. So if you get that out, it's a purging. You need to purge. So if you can make that a practice, it doesn't have to be every day. It could be every week or just whenever you feel like you need to. It could be multiple times a day. Just to write out what you're feeling, just to purge kind of that energy. It can really have a positive impact on the way you feel and the way you live and the way you look even maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had Mental Health Month pass in May.
Yes.
So I'm going to tie this in with mental health, is that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need to talk about my feelings, and this is a very westernized.
Yes.
But when it comes to journaling, it's not so much of you have a problem. We're humans. We're going to have trauma. All of us have issues. That's just the reality of it. but being able to write them down, even one word sentence, be like, today was a bad day.
Yeah.
Change your entire time just to be like, this is real, this is happening. And it's not so much like esoteric type of things that people think journaling is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real, like, your writing is a real living, breathing evaluation. And you can go back and read it and be like, oh, look at how much I've grown.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
even watching your own handwriting can change. Like, I've written notes to myself while in a panic, like years before, and I had a very specific journal that I would go to, and I see the like my handwriting what it looked like in 2015 and what it looks like now. This might be like kind of maybe doesn't mean anything. It's so much straighter now. It's so much sturdier. It doesn't look like my hand is shaking. Like, it doesn't look like my handwriting looks like a stronger person now than it did then. And that can kind of be reflective of, you know, where I was then as opposed to where I am now. And yeah, you know, you're never done improving. Never. You're never done. But it's just a real boost to know that you're progressing.
Yeah.
So how are you going to know that unless you have proof for yourself? Especially for some people that need proof. Give yourself proof. Give yourself credit where it's due. So, yeah. Journal, everyone.
Absolutely. The moral of the day.
You get to journal. It's wonderful. Okay.
We're showing off. We're showing everybody.
Like, you're in my way, mother.
Like, I rule. Your mother.
I crave violence.
She does. This one, especially.
I see those all the time. They make me laugh every
not so
time.
much. She's like, I'm going to go over here.
Of all those TikToks.
Oh, I saw that in one the other day. It was like this cat clinging onto its cat tree, and it was like, Mother, I crave violence.
Yeah,
and it pulled itself around the thing, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I love it.
I showed it to one of my kids, and I was like, my eldest daughter, and I was like, this is you.
Oh.
She's great, though. She's wonderful. It's why I showed it to her, because I was like, nothing's going to stand in her way. This is extremely her.
Okay. Do you have any more notes?
Oh, the one was, I have to pay the price to go on living. Talking about, I'm going to say the name wrong, so please correct me if I do. Haruki, Naoko's boyfriend that passed away or died by suicide.
Kizuki?
He was. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kazuki. There we go. This is what we have to do. Like, his death is the price for us to continue going on living. So to me, that spoke volumes of like, life and death aren't. Everyone thinks they are. Life and death work well together. It's like we have to live life, and as part of that is death. We have to know that things are going to end, but things are also going to continue in a certain way.
Very true. I feel like a big testament to who people grow into has to do with their first brush with death. Whether it's very young or you don't deal with it until you're much older, and depending on who it is in your life, it can really, really shape how you view everything. Because, you know, it's said that between the ages of you know, you're born and 10, you're not inherently aware of your mortality just yet. That's why children do backflips off of anything they can find, because they have no idea. Yeah, they have no idea that they can get hurt yet, or the extent of what, like, the pain that can be caused. They're fearless, and sometimes it's to a fault. And when it's funny because I used to teach children taekwondo. So we would teach them how to flip. We would teach them how to somersault. We would teach them things on a very, you know, padded surface. Some of them, mostly the boys, are like, they don't care. They don't care. Like, if they're going to get hurt, they're just like, this is a fun sensation. I am going to flip.
Let me at it.
Yeah. The girls, they sometimes would step back and be like, can you show me again? Okay. Do I do this with my arm? Okay. They're like very technical, and the boys are like, I'm just going to do it.
I'm just going to ram myself into it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
I had the opposite experience. Well, I mean, mine's very case study. I have 3 children. 2 are girls, 1 is a boy. My son is very careful. He's never been a rowdy kind of boy. Like, he'd see little kids playing around, like boys especially, and he'd play with them.
Interesting.
And he was very much like a non-rowdy boy. And then my girls came along, and oh my gosh.
That's interesting because he's
both of my girls
the
are
oldest,
rowdy.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I was going to say, if he was younger and he had 2 older sisters, then that would make more sense. But, yeah, I think that's,
he's the quiet one. Like, he was the one that when he was growing up, he was always, like, in the corner playing with his cars and his Lego. Well, on the playground, we're, like, pushing each other and, like, wrestling on the ground, and he's just like, I don't want any part of that.
I mean, he's smart. Smart.
And then my
builder,
girls are like,
he's
let
a
me
thinker.
go in there. He is. He's going to be an engineer when he grows up, I swear, because he just loves to work with his hands. He loves to create things, especially when it comes to video games.
Okay. You know, Pablo went to university to be an engineer.
So he can talk to Pablo.
When you were like,
oh, I'm sorry.
No, look at him.
When you were, in Taekwondo, like learning as a little kid, were you?
How old was I?
No.
Was I a risk taker? Not at first, actually. Not at first.
You told me stories about how, like, you've broken your fingers while sparring.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty fearless and.
Well, that was a bit later. Okay. So here's a story that has maybe nothing to do with what we're talking about, but kind of.
Story time.
Okay. So I earned my 2nd degree black belt in Taekwondo. I got my 1st degree when I was 16 and my 2nd degree when I was 18. But leading up to that, I also played the piano. I used to play the piano at like lounges and stuff, and I played the piano. Go too much into detail, but being a piano player who really values her fingers, and also being a person that fights, you got to be careful.
How do we marry these 2 ideas?
Yeah. So I remember this very vividly. I was sparring with, I call him my little brother because he basically grew up in my house. Like, my father kind of took him in, and my father owned the dojo, so that's where I get it from. So it wasn't an option. I was going to learn to fight. So he kind of took this kid in, and his name is Liam. If you're watching, hi Liam. I know he watches sometimes. But he's in the Navy right now, and so he's not around, and I haven't seen him in a little while. But sometimes we FaceTime and talk, and I miss him very much. But I always call him my little brother. He's about like 3 years younger than me. But we were sparring, and we were always competing. We were always kind of like head to head. He was always better at fighting than I was, and I was always better at forms than he was. Forms being like pre-sparring. It's kind of like a dance, like a choreographed dance. It's very artistic, and those were I absolutely loved doing those. It looked very pretty. Anyway, so one day we were sparring, and we were going pretty hard, and he kicked, and I blocked, but I blocked wrong, and he ended up breaking all 3 fingers, all 3 of the fingers on my right hand, like all of them. They just went like
You're
that.
Just like, why?
Like they pushed in a way that went. I don't know if you can see that, kind of like just broken. And it was inside my glove still, so I was like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with it.
Like, yeah, they were wrapped, but they swelled so much that I like couldn't get the thing off, the glove off. And the first thing I said to him was, "I am a pianist. You have ruined me." And being a bit of a sissy, yeah, being a bit of a sissy, I didn't want to go to the hospital right away. I was like, they're not broken. I can't feel them or move them, but they're not broken. Yeah, it's fine. And it was swollen and like black. Like my whole hand was just completely swollen and black. And I was like, they're fine. I didn't go to the hospital until it was too late. They had already set, and my fingers were like this for a really long time. They were just bent. Oh no. So I finally went to a doctor, and I was like, I can't continue like this. like, I need to fix my fingers. So he was like, we got to re-break them. We got to re-break them. So he dipped them in this like paraffin wax to kind of heat them up. And at first it was very unbearable. But then it actually felt nice. And I remember he put his knee on my arm and he just broke them. And I screamed. And then he splinted them and I was like, all right, another moral of this live stream. When you break your fingers, go to the hospital.
Do not try to be a hero.
No, I wasn't even trying to be a hero. I was just trying to avoid, my parents saying, why the hell did you break your fingers? You know better
why
than
are your fingers broken?
But yeah, I've forgiven him. It's all in the past. It's all great. Yeah. But you see a ton of broken bones and broken... I saw one man's nose just go flying off of his face one time. It was great.
It was a great time. Body parts flying everywhere.
Yeah, it was. He didn't like have his face covered, and the heel of the other guy hit his nose, and it just, whew, fantastic. Yeah.
Great sport. Everyone get into Taekwondo.
Yeah, that other guy, he was an MMA fighter, so it was a little more rough than just basic Taekwondo. But yeah. Anyway. All right, back to the very peaceful story that we were just talking about. That had absolutely no fighting in it whatsoever.
Going from violence to calm. Here we go.
Right. Okay. Okay, I have one quote here that really spoke to me in a way where I just put down the whole thing. It's a tiny bit long, but okay. In woods as dark as the depths of her own heart, she hanged herself. Once upon a time, you dragged a part of me into the world of the dead, and now Naoko has dragged another part of me into that world. Sometimes I feel like a caretaker of a museum, a huge, empty museum where no one ever comes, and I'm watching over it for no one but myself.
Okay, so I loved that part simply because it was like this reminder of, in death, it's very important to take care of yourself. Like when someone else dies, when you're experiencing death. I like how he said it's a museum, and that I'm the only one who's taking care of it, because of course you are. You're the only one taking care of yourself when it comes to death. Yes, there's other people that come and grieve with you, and they come and support you, but who's going through death is you. You're the one walking through the museum of the life that you used to have, and getting used to not having that life anymore.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
And I liked how impactful that was.
Yeah, and the fact that Toru addresses Kizuki once in a while, but this one really stuck out to me because he's mad. He's disappointed. He's upset with him. He's like, you took her away from me. Like, you had to have her for yourself. And it's not a type of mad where he's enraged at him. He's just like, you left me here, and you took her too. Like,
yeah.
You
left me behind, and then you took my other friend.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, and the fact that later on he's like, but she was never mine to begin with. She was always yours anyway. And I was like, ooh,
yeah.
The pain.
And then you that growth of, like, how he came from, like, you took her, and I'm so mad at you, or not mad at you, but I'm just mad at the whole situation.
Yeah.
And it was, like, that realization of, like, she always belonged to Kazuki.
Mm-hmm.
And that Toro needed to learn to belong to himself almost through death. And that he was looking for different things and different people that he should have been finding in himself.
Right.
And it took death to learn that.
Exactly.
At least that's what it spoke to me.
No, I feel you 100%. I feel like that also came across with Reiko. He like...
Oh my god!
I love her so much.
I love her!
I hope to be this cool when I'm older. Like, she's just a sense of, like, laid back, just so cool. In a way that we know that she's a bit damaged, which kind of aids to her charm, really, in that we know that she is not okay herself, but she's okay enough to be a rock for others. So even in knowing that of herself... She's better
at dealing with other people's issues.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she's very good with other people's issues. which is kind of what some people need sometimes. But even in the end when he says goodbye to her, that was the last time he ever saw her. Well, up until this point where he's telling the story, and he's, I think, 37, right? I think he said.
Yeah, I think he said he was 37
on the first page.
Let me fact check it.
Yeah, he's like, here he is.
Yeah, I was 37 then. Strapped into my seat as a huge 747 plunged through the dense cloud.
Oh my God, it's the first word. I was 37. I have one note here that just said I loved it very much. Kind of encompasses the whole reading experience. Okay. I think I got through the basic gist of all of my notes. If you have any more notes.
Before we get to that,
Pablo's going to interrupt us.
Hi, Chloe.
Saying, reading this right now was perfect timing.
Oh, cool. You're reading this right now. Okay, wait. So no spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, you should watch out for that.
Yeah.
Where are you in the book, Chloe?
Yeah. What part are you at in reading proper grammar? There's a bit of a lag. Okay. There's a bit of lag. But what else did I want to talk about? I'm sure as soon as we stop, I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said that.
I should have said this.
I mean, honestly, I tabbed this so much because I enjoyed it immensely. But when I was reading parts of it, okay, here we go. Hatsumi, can you talk about her for a second?
Far enough, don't worry.
Oh, Hatsumi.
Far enough, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. She was interesting. She was very interesting in the portrayal of a woman in a man's eyes. That's how I found her very interesting. Like, is this how women really are? Is this how women are perceived? Like, I'm not. It's a little bit generalizing to think that this one character is all women, but it's just the fact that her personality was so stereotypically female in some aspects. Did you get that, or like, was that just me reading it?
From it was that like Hatsumi was this conundrum of she was seemingly weak to not leave Nagasawa. I hope I said that right. But then she was fierce in her own.
Oh wait.
That like she was fierce enough to go and chase after what she wanted. She was with Nagasawa, right?
I think. Am I talking about the right one?
Or do you mean Naoko?
No, Naoko was Kizuki's girl. Hatsumi
is with Nagasawa.
Was with Nagasawa. Who am I talking about? The other girl. What was her name? Midori! Oh my god, Midori.
Oh, Midori!
Midori,
oh,
that's
Midori.
who I'm talking about. That's who I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Midori is who I'm talking about.
Okay.
There are a lot of names, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's fine. Yeah, Midori I got very big, like, this is the typical idea of a female.
Yeah.
But then you get Hasumi and Naoko and Reiko and...
Right.
So I think it was like a typical Murakami book. He has layers. He's going to make you think he's sexist to begin with. And then he's going to be like, haha, just jokes, I'm not.
Great. Because he does write a few characters with that aspect. And I'm like, all right. Yeah. I remember thinking at some point, I was like, is this because he is a gentleman of a different generation in a land that I am not too familiar with? So is this me reading too much into that? Or is this because of this or that? And then you read more into it, you read more about the characters, and you're like, not at all. Not at all.
Mm-hmm. No, my adopted brother, Walsh, and I, we talk about Murakami all the time. And he's the one that actually got me started. So if he's watching, thank you. It was like, at first when I read it, I was like, oh my god, this is like one of the sexist books I've ever read. But then I kept reading and I was like, no, this is a different culture, putting an eye on Western culture, and then being like, this is what my culture says about this. So there's the layers underneath,
right,
where you take the moment to sit there and think about the book with it closed in your lap. No, this is what it seems. What is it underneath? Because the entire time I was reading Kafka on the Shore, that's all I was doing, is I was like, okay, I'm suspending my disbelief because there's magical realism. It's not a spoiler, but there's talking cats. It says it right in the back.
Talking cats?
There's talking cats. It's not a spoiler. I have mine.
Oh my God.
I have mine right here.
Oh my goodness. You know,
Yes.
literally, we were talking about this before we went live. I only bought this because it said Murakami, and then it had a cat on it, and I was like, I'm sold.
Yeah, no, it's
But
not a
now-
spoiler to say there's talking cats and cats on the shore.
Yeah, I've mentioned before that I do no research when I buy a book. I just buy it, and I'm like, if I enjoy it, yay. If I don't, whoops, money down the drain.
Yeah.
But I am even more intrigued now.
Kind of funny that you have that perspective.
But then that's...
Your whole thing is about
No secrets, Paul.
Oh, you're exposing me.
Stop exposing her.
Okay.
But it showed me that Murakami, his stuff has layers. Like, there isn't... He brings up everything in every culture, and he's like, this is the reality of the world you live in. Look at it. And you're going to see it in my book. And that's, I think, like, what my adopted brother and I love about Murakami the most, is it's like, this is someone from outside of Western culture writing about his own culture, but also with Western influence.
Yes, very interesting. Yes. I love the way you speak. Much like Toru. Much like Toru. People, they like.
My vibes are good. Are my vibes good?
Yeah. Don't they say that? Like, Midori loves, like, I love the way you speak, and then she like quotes him a lot. Yeah. Same.
Yeah, Midori and Hatsumi tells him that. Hatsumi says that too. And she's like, sometimes she's like, I wish you were, or not like you, and like speaks his mind better. Nagasawa was one character that was just like, buddy, you and I are going to have issues.
I think Nagasawa is the way a lot of people, okay, if Midori was the typical female, like, trope, Nagasawa was the typical male expectation.
100%.
When, like, just, and the fact that he, okay, so just for context, Nagasawa is a character that Toro comes across that is incredibly misogynistic on the surface, in that he uses women for a good time, and he is very aware that it's a very empty good time. And when asked, why do you even do it, his answer is just, because I can. Because it's so easy. Because it's entertaining. Like, and I feel like that's kind of why they do it in general. Like, that's not just an answer just to be an answer. I think that is the answer. Like, why else would you do it other than
to have a good time?
Yeah, in the way that he's doing it. If you're doing it specifically to find, you know, a person to love, then that's different. But the fact that he has a girlfriend and she is aware that it's happening, it's like, it's a very interesting relationship. And especially that I was laughing out loud with the scene where they go to dinner, the three of them.
Oh my God.
And they're just having a full-blown argument, and Toro was like, this chicken is great.
This is great chicken. It's the best chicken I've had.
I don't know exactly what they were eating, but he
but
was like, check please.
That was my favorite part. I was like, yep, that would be me in an awkward conversation like that. I'd be like, can I have a check, please? We're going to go now.
Yeah.
We'll have this conversation somewhere else.
And the fact that they were both also speaking for him, where Nagasawa was like, he agrees with me, and she was like, no, he doesn't. And he was like, this is great. I don't know. It was fantastic. But then when Midori, going back to Midori, when Midori would make, like, specific claims to Toro in what she wanted from him, it was such a, I want you to tell me I'm pretty, and then, you know, and just love me forever, no matter what, and feed me and care for me, and that's all I want from you, without any
complaints. Snacks, put me to bed. I mean,
what? Like,
the dream.
Yeah, she's, you know, all women. That's what we want. But I was reading out loud the part to Pablo, specifically when they go to the double feature. And I was reading that part out loud, and I got to it, and Pablo was like, what are you reading? And I was like, you know what?
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, this is gold. This is fantastic. And I'm actually gonna bring my father back into this, and this is a very strange time to bring him back. But a little context on my dad. He has a lot to do with the person that I am today. Not only in that, you know, he taught me how to fight, but he also taught me about stories and movies and books and everything, because he was a filmmaker and he writes scripts and everything. So I get the writing gene from him. And I also get the film gene from him, the storytelling gene. It's all my dad. My mom is like all the fierceness, and my dad is all of the cuddly. But my dad, growing up, he had a VHS store. Before Blockbuster was a thing, and this, if you're younger than 25, you're completely lost. But before Blockbuster, there were VHS, you know, stores, and he owned a couple of them. And I was telling him about this book because I want him to read it, just because it deals with things in life that my dad has had to deal with, and I thought that it would be very healing for his soul in the same way that it was for me. So I really wanted him to read it, but I did preface to him, I was like, but, my dear, sweet father, there are scenes in here that are a little kinky. And he was like, I had a VHS store in the 90s, like, I know all about the kinky.
Oh, yeah. They had a little sectioned off room?
Yeah. Yeah, I really do remember that back room. Like, all of them had to have it because it was, like, you're not going to have a business if you don't have it.
Yeah, it was the back room.
You're right. It was
back room.
Yeah, it was the only way for people to, you know, get their fix, you know, by renting, you know,
not
movies
like
that.
Anybody.
So I remember
you do
like,
you, boo-boo.
Yeah, right. So I remember those like, I never saw anything, of course. My parents were very good about not having me see those movies specifically, but I just remember the curtain there, and I was like forbidden to go past that curtain. And he was like, yeah, we had a whole Japanese section. I was like, what? So that conversation was brought up by me telling him about this book, and I thought that was hilarious, that he was like, yeah, we had a whole, like, it was a whole genre. They invented, like, the S&M genre of film, and I was like, this is an interesting conversation I'm having with my father right now. But anyway, good book.
Yep. Oh, it's common in Murakami to have conversations, like scenes of sex. So proceed with caution if you're picking up his books for the first time, and just be aware that, like, he approaches any situation with sex very straightforward.
Right.
So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's also, he writes it in a way that is absolutely real. It is not in any way, like, I would not say or categorize this as smut in any way at all. Like, no, it is not sexy for the sake of being sexy. Sex is always specifically part of the story and necessary in the story to tell, like, what the characters are going through. So, yes, it was written in a very mature way, I would say, rather than just, like, you know, smutty.
Well, like, it was typical smut. The only thing I can think of is, like, and I'm sorry if this is everyone's favorite book, but A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Haven't read it yet, but I'm aware.
Smut. It takes sex and it makes it fantasy, which is fine. It's a fantasy book. You're expecting that. But Murakami's realism. So he takes sex and it's going to happen between two people, or three, or whatever. However many you want, a consensual, we don't care. So,
and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's where the reality of it comes in with Murakami. You know, maybe they have a good time, or like in Norwegian Wood, where Naoko kind of has a breakdown and is like, I don't want to do this again.
Right.
And that's real. Some people will be like, no, I don't want to have sex with you again. So I like how he approaches. It's a much more rounded approach than it is in fantasy, and I'm not trying to knock fantasy. It's great to have the smut there. If you love your smut books, keep reading them.
Yeah, I do.
But I like the Murakami.
Yeah, I do see the appeal of smutty books once in a while. Like, I don't know about all the time. It's kind of melts your brain maybe, but but in this case, it didn't feel like that at all. It felt very wholesome. That's like the one word that I can describe the whole book is just very, very wholesome.
Oh,
all right. So would you recommend Norwegian Wood for a first-timer, a Murakami first-timer?
Absolutely. 5 out of 5.
Yes, absolutely. 5 out of 5.
I
10
gave
out of
it
10.
a 5.
100 out of 100.
5 out of 5. I have it right here. It's 5 out of 5.
Oh.
Little journal, I have like a section where it's like, what's your rating? And this one is 5 out of 5.
Okay.
If I could give it more, I would.
I'd give it as much as I could. It's very good. Okay, what was I going to say? All right, I like to say who is this book for, like in my reviews. I like to say who would benefit the most from this book, and I think we already touched on that. I think it's someone a bit older, older meaning 25 to 30 maybe. Even if you're older than 30, I think maybe older than 25 would be great, because I think by the time you hit 25, you're still in that immortal phase, kind of. I feel like I was a little bit, where, you think nothing can touch you yet.
No, you're going to live forever.
Yeah. You can't imagine a world without you, because,
no.
It's that,
going to be here.
Yeah, what is that term? It's like, it's a psychological term, where everyone believes that they are the protagonist. There's a term for it. I can't think of it now, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I need to go back to my psychology classes, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a term of like everyone thinks that they are the most important person in the world, because to them they are. Yeah, there might be a Vsauce video about this. We watch a lot of Vsauce in this house. But yeah, I would recommend it to anyone maybe a bit older. If you're younger, still read it again when you're older. How about that?
Yeah.
Read it now. Even if you're like 16, read it now and then read it again in 10 years. And I think you're going to get a lot more out of it in 10 years than you would at 16. But I think either way, it's very mature in its style. I also had to take into account once in a while that this is translated from Japanese to English. So certain things that they may say might not make sense, might not be like the norm here. Kind of like when they say peace a lot. I was like, not only is it because it's Japanese, but also because it's 1969. They're gonna say peace a lot. Peace and love, man.
Well, that's like I would recommend this book to people who are looking for why.
Yes. Like
if you're in a position of your life where you find yourself asking why all the time, read this book. An anthropological point of view, this is like from a different culture. Mm-hmm. So don't expect normal Western tropes in this book.
Right.
Murakami's writing it will not hold your hand. You get tossed into this book. Good luck to you. Yeah. The odds be ever in your favor. Yes, I love Hunger Games. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I have all 3 of them somewhere right here.
Tina is my favorite. Gail can go away.
It's also, I like to talk about how first page, you're already deep into the story. First page already has meaning. Very first page. Yes. So it doesn't take long. As much as I wanted to just mention this, I'm currently reading Lizzie's story, and it's dense. It's a bit dense.
That copy is beautiful, by the way.
I know, right?
That hardcover is just gorgeous. You need to show it off. Show them the heart. Show them. Cover. Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
Says baby. Baby love.
No, I didn't.
Oh, wait. I'm halfway. There we go. Oh my goodness. I'm not used to be. Oh. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Going from before I started this channel, before I started reading more, just because I started the channel because I wanted to read more, and I was like, this is gonna make me. This is gonna hold me accountable. I strictly read Stephen King. I was like, I want to get through all of his books, and I'm not going to read anything else but Stephen King. And I went through that phase for a really long time, where he is the only thing I ever read. And I was kind of, I love him to a fault. Kind of like when you're in a room and you don't smell that smell, and then you leave the room and you come back and you're like, what the hell is that smell?
What is that smell?
That was Stephen King, in a good way. So after
we were
reading
authors that feel like home to you.
Yes. Stephen King feels like home. Which one is? I remember you told me the name.
Barker.
Yes.
Clive Barker or Magica. This book is home to me. Clive Barker is home to me. Like he's very horror, but this book is not like any of his horror, and it is beautiful.
I think
highly recommend.
We share that aspect of horror being home.
Horror is home.
Horror is home. If I'm terrified, I'm comfortable.
Yep. I can watch a horror movie and then go to bed.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, he knows I get nightmares. I will have fits in the middle of the night, but it's worth it. It's worth it. But going from Murakami to Stephen King, it is such. They're the same age, I think. They're born relatively, I think, during the same time.
Oh yeah, Stephen King and Clive Barker, like they went this way. Like Stephen King, to me personally, I find him to be more terror because there's more of like the atmosphere with him. Whereas with Clive Barker, it's like, here's these dead bodies littered, and I'm going to describe them in detail.
Oh wow. Okay, I need to try this. I haven't had enough nightmares lately. I need more.
Clive Barker and his books of blood, volume 1 to 3.
Oh my goodness. That looks like a thick boy.
It's not quite that bad.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, that's not that bad at all.
Sloppy.
Okay.
There's like,
books of blood.
I guess about 400 pages.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
3 days, if that.
Oh, and Murakami, I should mention this. Murakami is, he's from Japan, and that's where his culture influence comes from. I should have mentioned that when I was saying me failed. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's like we were saying. Some feel like home. I think I moved.
Murakami's now. Oh yeah, like I live in Clive Barker and I live in Murakami.
Yeah, this is maybe like
the two sides of my soul meeting.
This is maybe I vacation here.
Yeah, we can vacation.
I mean, do you feel like?
I'm sorry.
Would you describe reading this as like an enjoyable tourism trip?
Absolutely.
Or more like, oh no, I'm stranded in a different country.
No, not at all. No, this really felt like I was in Japan in 1969. Like, because it's not just a story about the characters, it's about the atmosphere. It's about the unrest in society. When there was that giant explosion where I'm sorry if there's spoilers, there was an explosion and there was a smooch at some point with a specific person. But when that whole thing happened,
far enough along and we didn't have to worry.
Okay, I hope so. Chloe, was it? Was that Chloe?
Also,
okay.
Now that you mentioned, I do my one job of monitoring.
Your one job, husband.
Hello.
I should also mention, when he says Nanisawa doesn't deserve her, LOL. That I think that was probably a long time ago.
Doesn't deserve Hatsumi?
Yeah. Yeah, Pablo doesn't know.
And then we have
no, he doesn't.
React that says, what country are they from? I don't know if he means the authors or you guys.
What country are they from?
Yeah,
the author is Japanese.
Yes, as we just described. So that's good.
I am in Los Angeles, so the U.S.
You're in the country of
I am in the country of Los Angeles. It's its own country.
I'm in Canada. That's why I'm the bestie from the north.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe some people don't know why I call Chelsey that. She's my bestie from the north because she is north from where I am. So, yes, she's north. You see, I forget that other people don't know what's in my own head, so I just assumed everyone knew.
I do too. Oh my god, I do too. I say something and my husband's like, Chelsey, you realize that not everyone knows that. I'm like, but don't they?
I have to
in
ask.
my head, why isn't it in theirs?
Did I ever ask you that, or did I ever tell you that? I ask you all the time. Did I ever tell you that story? Because I don't remember if I told you or if it was just in my head. Anyway.
Moving on.
Do we have any other questions or comments to get through?
No, but if people have questions, comments.
Yes, now is the time to let them rip. While we wait for questions, do you mind talking a bit about your book? You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay.
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about gathering shadows.
I have a perfect... Okay, so I have had a whole bunch of help with this book. Has been my right hand. Without her, I would be lost.
Hello, I am the right hand.
My left hand has been Nathaniel. He's helped me so much as well. Getting everything together. I'm just going to see... Okay, because we already planned out the synopsis, so I'm going to read the synopsis.
Oh my god. I mean, I've read some of it already. I didn't want to ask for the next part because I wanted to read it as book form, full, all the way through. I didn't want to stop. So I did read your first part, and I was like, okay.
I knew more. Okay, so my synopsis is, deep in the heart of Moravia rest 4 covens of witches and warlocks. The greatest of these is the Blood Coven. When the Earth Coven attacks, they break not only ancient oaths, but steal magic. One witch from the Blood Coven is determined to exact revenge. Dorika Bloodfire searches Moravia for assistance and finds it in an unlikely place. A powerful and vengeful goddess has been unleashed once again to Moravia, a threat that they thought was far behind them. As the covens fight, Dorika is forced to make a choice between love and power. Is the sacrifice enough? Is power greater than love? Dorika may have things figured out, but the witch gods play by their own rules.
So excited.
And full disclaimer, I wrote this book in like 4 months. And then I was like, oh, I won't release it till next year. And then I was talking with Nadia, and I was talking with Nathaniel, and I was talking with my brother, and I was like, what is really holding me back? Fear.
Yeah.
Fear that it's not good enough, fear that it will never be good enough. And if that was the case, I would never publish this book.
If it's next year, it's the year after that, it's the year after that, it's the year after that. You have to do it. You're always going to be afraid. So might as well face it now.
Yeah. And so, like, one of my favorite movies is Inception. And a part in there is when one of the characters is talking to another one, and I'm not going to say any spoilers on this. It's later on in the movie, so you won't know it. But it was, do you want to take a leap of faith? And that's always stuck with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, I want to let me do this. I need to learn to trust my own decisions. I'm 32 years old. I'm going to be 33 on the day of my release of my book, June 23rd.
Yes, everyone.
And that's
June
why
23rd.
I wanted it on my June 23rd. I wanted it on my birthday because I was like, I need to enter my 33rd year on this earth doing something that I was afraid to do.
Excellent gift to yourself. Excellent gift.
I know, right?
This is the best gift I can think of to give yourself is a finished
my own
novel.
book.
Wow. Yes. I absolutely cannot wait to hold it. Like I know I've said that to you so many times, but I'm emotional. I can't wait to have it in my hands and be like, I know her.
This is my bestie.
Oh yes, I can't wait. It's around the corner. But yes, if you are hoping to download it on Kindle or order it on Amazon, once the link is live, I will link it. I will go back to this video and link it here. I'm sure I'll talk about it in future videos. I'll link it there. I'm going to promote the hell out of you. You have no idea.
Oh, I love you.
I can't wait to read it, do a whole review, everything, already there. You got
you're going to hear on this channel.
Full promotion.
We actually kind of talk about it. We would do more like a showcase type thing, because we don't want to, like a review at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of conflict of interest.
Right.
It could be, so we want to be like very fair about that stuff.
Yes.
When it comes to reviews. And if there's like a personal thing you want to.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but
See, it just happened again. I didn't realize that. I didn't talk to you about this yet.
Why aren't you living in my mind?
Yeah. We'll have a ton of more conversations with everything that you're okay with, because I never want to, go more than what you're okay with, for sure. But yeah, as much as you will allow me to, I will promote the hell out of you.
Awesome. Video coming on the 16th.
Oh, so
in
excited.
A day.
I'm so excited. I mean, the cover.
I mean, okay, can we talk about the cover for a hot minute? Because that's not the conflict of interest.
I may have helped just a little tiny bit.
Just a lot.
I mean, a little bit. You gave me the art. I was like, yeah, I was like, do you mind if
Such a life.
do you mind if I touch it? Can I just touch it? And you were like, yeah, go ahead and touch it.
Can I just?
And I touched it.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, you will all see what we mean when it comes out. So stay tuned. Mark your calendars. Get ready. Maybe odds be in your favor as well. Okay, I do have a few. I do have a few little like writers' questions I wanted to ask you. I wanted to act like this was a real late night bookie talk show, and I was going to ask you a few questions. Yes, where's my blazer? Please, someone get my blazer. I need my mug of just water.
Should we go back to Taylor? Let me be ready.
Okay. There are days where the story is pouring out of me, and my hands can only type as fast as without fumbling. Characters. Wait, I can't remember if I wrote this or if this is a message you sent me.
No,
It sounds like me?
Yeah, hold on.
What?
No, I don't know.
I'm fine.
We're an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10. It doesn't feel like that.
Wow.
It felt like.
Go us.
Doesn't feel like that at all. Okay. All right, I'm just going to read what I wrote because we'll figure it out together. There are days where the story is pouring out of me and my hands can only type as fast as they can without fumbling. The characters are whispering in my ear, telling me their story, and I am but a vessel. And then there are the days where I am utterly alone, the same vessel cast aside by my own characters. What do you do on those days? Please help. That's what I wrote.
Is that a question?
Yes, what do you do on these days? Please help.
What I? You always say that's a question.
I mean, the fact you just said that you got this out in 4 months. Like, how?
I know.
How?
Oh, it just literally poured out of me. It was like, here, you're gonna write this. This is the book, and it wasn't so weird. And hang with me because this is gonna be esoteric.
Okay.
The characters were the ones that drove the story. Yes, I created them, but their decisions, their personalities came out, and I was like, no, this isn't what Husef would do.
Mm-hmm.
Act like this. Sylvia would not make this decision. So then, as soon as I knew that, I was like, I know exactly where this is going. Balthazar needs to do this. Those are all random names.
Right. I think. Go ahead.
And then if, on days I would sit down and I'd go, 1,000 words would pour out of me. And then the next day I'd sit down and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to write. And then I'd have to fight to draw. And on those days, I would just get up and leave my laptop. I would walk away from it. I go grab my journal. I start writing, down character stuff. And that helped a lot, too, is it was like, I can't force the words out.
No,
or the story's going to feel different.
Exactly. Okay.
So then I just sat there and I was like, hey, I'm just going to work on the world building.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I feel like a lot of people, when I write things sometimes. And when I'm in a writing mood, I set writing goals. I tried. I set writing goals in that I need to get 1,000 words out by 3 p.m. And if I don't, my self-worth is less. I'm just that, that shows how much of a student I was, where I would be like, trash if you get less than an A.
If you do not have an A+,
yeah,
it is trash.
You are not worthy of the breath you inhale. that's how I am.
Anymore.
Yes, that's how I am personally to myself. And then I would read things of would you say that to another person? Absolutely not. So why would you say that to yourself? Blah blah blah. So, so it's good to hear that everybody goes through writer's block. It's not like it's like, oh, inspiration hits and then you write a complete book. For some people, it is. But for most, it's not like that. It takes many years to get a story out because it's kind of like. It's like maybe a poor choice of words, but you're birthing these people. They are their own people. So, and another thing a lot of writers say, and it's sometimes a cliche of I didn't write the story wrote me. A lot of people say that, but it's very true because once you start, it's very difficult to not end up where it's going to end up. It's almost like it's already written, and you're just kind of erasing. Something covering it, just to unveil what is underneath. Wow, yeah. Art metaphor.
No, that was great.
I am very eloquent. So, yes.
Very eloquent.
So I thought it was very, very interesting. I thought the most, like, interesting part of it was that you finished it in 4 months. That, to me, that was very, like, oh my goodness, how the hell did you do this in 4 months?
I don't know.
I can't even, I can't even book a dentist appointment for myself given 4 months. I can't do it.
I can't do that. No, I can't call somebody and be like, Mom, excuse me, Mom, you need to make multi-appointments. No.
It's so wonderful that you can do some things on an app now, but yeah, anyway. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud. I am swelled with pride and just happiness and excitement for you from a bestie from the north. I'm so glad. Okay, I have a bunch of other things that I was going to ask you, but since they're very, like, I see a 1 on the cover, is there going to be a 2?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I may have known this already. Okay. What was the process like? What is a typical...
I didn't know you'd do that.
Oh, yeah, I know that. What was the process like while writing Gathering Shadows? I kind of meant that to be like a day in the life. Like what was it like?
Okay, so I would get up. I do my schoolwork because I'm currently in taking social work. I switched from psychology to social work. So then I would finish that, and then for the 2-3 hours before my kids came home, I would write. And if there was something to write, I would write. And if there wasn't, I would be like, hey, there's nothing here today, so I would go work on the world building. Because Moravia is its own plane. It happens outside of any part of existence we've ever known. So it takes the idea that there's different planes of existence, and Moravia...
Right. I'm telling you guys watching, first page, hooked. First page, absolutely hooked. Did I not tell you when you came home that day after I read a little bit of it, I was like, I feel like I found gold. I feel like I found gold that hasn't seen the light of day yet, and like, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yes, absolutely fantastic. So see, when I say, oh, you're an inspiration, it's so very true. You are a mother of 3 and a student and 4 months. How? I can't even feed myself. He laughs because it's true.
Well, my husband's always
amazing.
like, how do you get so much done in a day? It's because if I either focus and I get 40 hours of work done in 5 hours, or I do absolutely nothing. I have no in between.
No in between. My goodness. All right.
I'm either on all the way or I'm off.
I mean, that's one way to be if you're going to be a certain way when it comes to writing. Either off or on. You can't have an in between. That's why I feel like for me it's very difficult, because I think I am in the in between. Like I can't just say, oh, I'm going to write today. I have to be in the absolute complete headspace to revisit the same people that I was writing about. It's such a process. I can't. Anyway, okay.
No, and that's okay. Everyone has their different process.
Yes. Okay. So this is where I'm going with this next question. Do you have a specific quirk that helps you write?
Okay, so fantasy mixes on YouTube. Oh my god. They are manna from heaven. Like, if you find any of them, like the epic fantasy mix, like, well, all it is just like music you'd hear in like Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
It helped me write this book so much.
Absolutely.
Because it was just like, I'm going to immerse myself in Moravia. This is where I live now. And I'm going to write it from the perspective as if I'm a historian writing all of this down for future generations.
I'm so glad you said that, because mine is music. If I find a song, like a scene pops into my head, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, where the hell did that come from?
Where is this?
But yes, and you mentioned Lord of the Rings. Oh, I knew I loved you for a reason.
I have the books. The books. Hang on.
I don't have my own copies of the books, but my God, I love it so much.
There we go.
Beautiful.
And we have like the director's cut of the movies, and oh my God. Bilbo.
Pablo and I recently watched them all the way through director's cut, and it's just all three of them all the way through in 2 days. We didn't stop. We did not stop.
Nope. You can't. Once you start, it's like, no, I have to see everything.
We had a small break for sleeping, but even with that break, the director's cuts are 17 hours each. So it took, the whole process. Oh my goodness. Okay. There are some other questions in here that are kind of like, when do your best ideas come? What's your favorite writing experience? But I think, if you want to answer those, that's fine. But I think they're kind of, what are they called? Yeah. So I didn't know if I was going to go in depth about this, but we can totally do a separate video. I didn't run this by Pablo. Oops. I didn't tell my producers about this. But yes, we can totally do a separate video when your book comes out of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yay. Okay. Because my next one was going to be where and when can we order it, and how to get a copy. But we can do that now, so people can pre-order it if you want them to, or we can do it later when it comes out and you want them to order it after it comes out. It's your choice.
On Amazon, it will be available June 23rd. I don't know if it'll be Kindle. I think for sure for Kindle as well as paperback.
Okay. And for everybody, it's Chelsey Thomas. Okay, that's her name, and the book is called Gathering Shadows. Okay, everybody got that? Go write that down. Go write that down. Put it in your phone right now.
Down.
I want to see you. Put it in your phone. Put it in your phone. June 23rd.
It's always in your hand.
I have it. It's a what's it called? Reminder. I have a reminder. Remind me. What is it called? Okay. Yes.
Remind me what's that?
Yes. All right, everybody has been reminded. I will remind them again when it comes out.
Yes.
It was so very, very nice having you here. And this is, if nobody knows, this is the first time we're speaking in virtual person, in the virtual flesh. So I'm very happy.
And our personalities just meshed. It was great.
Yes. Very, very good. Okay. I have to ask, are you a Gemini?
Gemini Cancer.
Okay. That's why.
I was born, my birth date is, right when they switch. So, I have Cancerian and Gemini tendencies.
Okay. Because my sister and my best friend, Emmy, both of them have their birthdays on June 17th. They're Geminis. And I feel like I vibe the best with Geminis. So that's why I asked.
Yeah.
And when I heard your birthday was on June 5th, I was like, is that within the Gemini realm? I think so.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's right when they switch from Gemini to Cancer, so I have both tendencies.
Yay for Geminis.
Yay.
I'm a Scorpio, so.
I was going to say, you're a Scorpio because that's why we get along. Because my other best friend is also a Scorpio, and I'm like, yes, this is why. This is why we vibe.
Pablo doesn't completely believe in when I tell him these things, but I bombard him with them nonetheless. So.
It's like, no, you must listen anyway.
Okay, thank you all so much for being here. Chelsey, thank you so much for joining me. Oh.
Anytime, love.
Oh.
Just as I don't know, public self-reflection on the show today.
You can put yourself on the. Oh, you don't want to. He doesn't want to.
Screen.
By the way, Chloe says, "Oh my God, Scorpio gang."
Chloe, Scorpio gang, hi.
Yes, another Scorpio.
Specifically
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes self-reflection.
Okay, that's okay. You don't have to.
I think it'd be cool to do one of these where everyone agrees to read it from the channel, and they can participate more in the discussion of it.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean?
Yes, please.
Yes.
What?
This might be a tall order, but we can even try to have people call in.
Hey, husband! You just described a book club.
You did. You really did.
All right, let's start the Neverland Book Club. Might as well, might as well 4 or 5 months in. Let's start the Neverland Book Club. How about comment down below what book
choices of the book?
Yeah, what are the book choices? I mean, okay, so a few books that I just currently bought. That's a sentence.
I mean,
it is
recently bought. The ones I recently bought was this one. Kafka on the Shore. You know, anything Murakami, I'll read now. It doesn't matter what it's about. I'll read it. I also bought the which one's that one?
South of the border, west of the sun.
South of the border, west of the sun. That sounds very like south of the border, west of the sun. I'm sorry, my brain is doing things. I'm trying to. South and west don't mean things to me. I have up and down, left and right. So we can do that one.
It's not stationary, so it's kind of.
What?
The sun's not stationary, so west of it is not really a specific point.
Well, no, isn't
I think
the
it
whole...
maybe means like when it's rising.
Yeah.
Or like when it's setting. Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know where I am.
Sunrise in the east, sunset in the west.
Sunsets in the west.
Sunrise in the east, sunset in the west.
And that's the same in the whole world, right? Yeah, that makes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the Japanese are very fond of the red sun.
Well, yeah, that's their flag. Absolutely. Okay, so we can do that one. I have plans. I have plans for the month of July. And you'll just have to wait and see what those plans are. But really, anything by V.E. Schwab, I would like to go back to her at some point. So if you have
Any recommendations of that?
Did you do that?
Yes, I heard that. He has the other AirPods, and I just got a little saying, "I'm dying, please stop."
Please stop, Sophie. The Savage Song sounds interesting by her.
Say that again.
The Savage Song.
The saddest song?
The Savage Song.
Savage song. Okay, I've heard of that one. Okay, we can do that one. It's this is gonna die. So thank you all so much. Please comment down below what books you want to actually read for this live book club, and we will vote. And yeah.
You know what? Everyone sign up for the newsletter, and then maybe we'll send like a poll or something there, because you can't do polls yet on YouTube soon, hopefully.
That's the newsletter.
So if you want to go over to the Instagram and see what I'm doing,
And subscribe to Nadia if you're...
yes, please subscribe. You know, I haven't mentioned it in a little while, but we are at 780
Something. We're like on our way to
Woo!
to your goal.
We were at like 500, and even then I was like, oh my god, this is
Close to 500 people. Oh my god.
going a bit fast.
I'm a little overwhelmed.
I'm not complaining. I'm a bit overwhelmed, but I can handle it. Please, more. Come.
It's good. It's fine.
The more the merrier. I know we're going into maybe the 2-hour period now, but you know, the book community is the best community I've been a part of.
Absolutely.
It's such nice people. It's wonderful. I love all of you. You especially. I mean, how can I ask for a better friend? Oh my goodness. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you so much.
I love you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm supposed to cut it. That's my job.
Goodbye. Oh, wait.
Wait,
Goodbye.
oh. And look. Oh no, stop stopping.